"Stop, Emeka! The river is calling your name!" Chief Okori shouted amid the crashing thunder, but Emeka kept walking. Before him, in the furious rain, was Amara, his wife, with scales that gleamed golden, singing a song that made even the storm bow its head. The whirlpool swirled around his feet, cold as the breath of a ghost. He knew that one more step, and he could lose everything. But that song was like a thread binding his heart to the water. In that moment, between love and the curse, Emeka had to choose, save his wife or save the village. And that very choice turned their love into a legend told for 100 years. Once upon a time, in an ancient African-American community, along the Oji River that stretched like a ribbon of gold, there lived a young fisherman named Emeka. He was born to the beat of rain season drums and grew up with the breath of the water. Each morning, the sound of his paddle was the first echo on the river's surface, and each night, the oil lamp in his boat was a lone star adrift in the mist. Emeka's whole life flowed in that steady rhythm of the water, serene yet weary, like a prayer repeated endlessly without end. That night, the wind blew down from upstream, carrying the scent of salt and fresh mud just unearthed. The river's surface rippled with flecks of light, reflecting the first moon of the season. Emeka cast his net from dusk until deep into the night, yet still came up empty-handed. The net felt feather-light. The cold wind wrapped around his shoulders. His arms ached with fatigue, but he refused to turn back. Something stirred within him, a vague emptiness, as if the river itself were hiding its own breath. Then, as the night deepened, a faint sound rose from somewhere in the midst of the river. At first, Emeka thought it was the splash of fish, but then the sound stretched into melody. A tune as fragile as a wisp of smoke, so pure that the air around him seemed to pause and listen. That song was not of mortal lips. It was distant yet intimate, like a lullaby and a summons all at once. Emeka felt it in his bones, in his breath, in every heartbeat. He lifted his head. Through the thin veil of mist, where the moonlight touched the water, a figure sat upon a smooth rock. The water shimmered around her as if lit from within. Her hair cascaded long and soaked, like a silver stream. Each strand caught the moonlight and wove it into a hazy halo. But what stunned Emeka was her form from the waist down, not legs, but a fishtail gleaming radiant gold, each tiny scale like a mirror fragment reflecting sparkling light around her body. The river, usually so still, suddenly hummed in rhythm with that song. The wind hushed, the water flattened like a mirror. All seemed to bow before the enchantment that reigned there. Emeka stood frozen, his heart pounding in his chest. No words escaped his lips. That beauty rendered every question meaningless. Moonlight bathed her face, gentle as a mother's hand caressing her child. She raised a hand to smooth her hair, the gesture light as a falling petal. In that instant, her gaze swept over him. Whether she saw him or not, Emeka felt a chill run down his spine like an electric current. Her eyes were deep and still, as if they held a swallowed sky full of stars. That gaze made him want to kneel, in equal parts fear and rapture. The net slipped from Emeka's hand into the water, sending ripples spreading outward. When he snapped to, she was still there, her slender shoulders, her skin glowing as if poured from honey. Then the wind shifted, bringing him the scent of watergrass, pungent yet sweetly cloying, making his head spin. A soft sound rose in the breeze. Was it the whisper of waves, or her voice itself? He couldn't tell. Emeka only felt his hands automatically grasp the net rope, hurling it fiercely toward the rock. As the net hit the water, his whole body jerked back. An immense weight yanked at his calloused hands. He gritted his teeth, straining with all his might. The net thrashed violently, bucking like a trapped behemoth. Sweat poured down his forehead, the moonlight glinting off it in thin silver streaks like blood. Small waves lapped at the boat, chuckling mockingly. He pulled and pulled until the net surfaced, heavy with silver-white fish. The entire boat shuddered under their weight. Emeka gasped for breath, his eyes wide in astonishment. Never had he caught so many fish, not even in the best season. They were as thick as his arm, their scales shimmering with moonlight, looking like living silver coins. He collapsed onto the seat, stunned and afraid. When he looked up, the rock where she had sat was empty. Only the water swirled with light, then closed silently as if no one had ever been there. Amecha wiped his sweat, listening. The song had vanished, leaving only the thump of his heart. A light breeze passed, carrying a strange scent, the tang of salt, of wildflowers, and something profound and distant, like memory. He shivered, but couldn't tear his gaze from the river. The moon had climbed high, illuminating every ripple. The net full of fish piled high, gleaming silver. Amecha sat still, his eyes fixed on where she had disappeared. Within him, something had awakened, not just gratitude for the catch, but a nameless longing, as if his soul had heard its first call from another world. As he rowed home, the waves slapped the hull like a steady heartbeat. The wind brushed past, cool yet gentle. In his hands, a few lingering drops from the net caught the moonlight, flickering pale gold. He stared at them long until the light faded into the night. The river sank back into silence, but in Ameka's heart, that melody echoed on, like a smoldering flame that never died. And in that silence, at the crossroads of man and water, of dream and reality, a curse was sown quiet as moonlight falling into the river's heart, to one day rise again with that radiant golden song. And before we continue with the main story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video, okay? And don't forget to comment below letting us know where you're watching from. We love hearing that. The next morning, while the sun still shyly hid behind the shade trees, Ameka was already at the riverbank. The Oji reflected a tender pink, soft as a baby's skin. On the water's surface, lazy ripples drifted, carrying the scent of moss and the salt of the old night. The cooing of doves in the treetops framed a strangely peaceful scene. But in Ameka's heart, a quiet unrest lingered. From last night, the image of the woman with the radiant golden tail flickered in his mind like an unending melody. He sat on the bank, his eyes never leaving the smooth rock in mid-river. Each time the wind whispered, light danced there, making him think she'd appear at any moment. Yet the river lay still, only the gentle trickle at his feet, soft as meaningless whispers. The day dragged slowly. The sun rose and set. Ameka didn't leave, though hunger gnawed and his eyes grew heavy. He felt bound to the river by an invisible thread, until the crescent moon hung suspended in the sky. That familiar sound rose again, fragile, gentle and profound, like a silken thread touching the heart's depths. He lifted his head. Amid the water rising silver, she sat there again. Amara, her hair drenched, droplets rolling down her neck and shoulders, sparkling like pearls. Her golden tail swayed lightly, each motion making the whole river gleam as if dusted with gold. Around her, fish gathered, circling protectively. Amecha stood transfixed. That beauty was no longer human, but something sacred, gentle yet terrifying. Without a word, he stepped toward the water's edge. The wind carried the scent of ripening palms, mingled with the damp, salty aroma of her skin. The river between them lit up like a long mirror, reflecting both their faces. She looked at him, her gaze soft, and in that instant, it seemed all sounds in the universe ceased. She spoke, her voice small as wind slipping through leaves. "My name is Amara." But as those words rang out, the water trembled slightly, as if something beneath disapproved. Ameka felt his heart clench. That name brushed his lips like a prayer. For so long, no sound had made him feel so alive. Amara touched the water, stirring circles, then smiled faintly. That smile made the river blaze, reflecting 1,000 golden streaks on the fish. The breeze caressed the surface, so gently that Amecha forgot to breathe. Everything around him, the crickets, the waves, the wind faded distant. Only his heartbeat synced with the waves. She gazed at him long, her eyes neither sad nor joyful. Something deeper lay there, like the river's memory, like the solitude of its depths. Amecha suddenly felt small, like a grain of sand in the palm of something vast. If this was a dream, he didn't want to wake. The crescent moon cast a thread-thin light between them. The water was no longer a boundary, but a mirror where he saw himself and her merging. In that moment, Emeka knew fate had chosen him, not by reason, but by his own heart, now beating in time with the river's song. Amara tilted her head, her finger tracing the water, creating chains of gold dissolving into waves. Her voice rose, slow and warm. "If I agree to stay with you, I will trade a part of my soul. And if you want me as your own, you must promise never to seek to know all of me." Those words were like an invisible thread binding Emeka's heart. He didn't reply, but in his eyes burned something fierce, sincere. He knew he faced the inexplicable, yet his fear vanished, replaced by a strange peace. Amara fell silent. Moonlight caressed her skin, making her body translucent. From her heart, tiny golden lights emanated, dissolving into the water, merging with the flow. Each light was a breath, making the river quiver. Emeka felt the wind on his face, carrying the scent of deep water and fresh grass, and in that instant, he understood the promise was no mere words but a pact with the world itself. Amara bowed her head, touching the river once more. Waves rose gently, embracing her form. The light around her faded, leaving only rippling golden streaks on the surface. Before vanishing, she glanced at him. That look said more than words. "Remember your promise, for love exists only when the heart knows silence." Then the water closed, leaving emptiness. The moon hung quiet, the wind rose, carrying cool mist into his skin. Emeka stood there, clutching the wet net. His heart still echoed the melody now lost to the night. He didn't know why tears fell, perhaps from joy, or fear that this joy was as fragile as the moonlight drifting on the water. As he turned back, the river brushed the boat's side like a parting hand. On the surface, a lingering golden streak sparkled with each stroke of the paddle. From afar, the song rose faintly once more, weak but clear, as if the river were teaching him an ancient tune heard only by the chosen. That night, Emeka tossed restlessly, the melody haunting his mind. Outside, the OG whispered, echoing the promise under the crescent moon. In his dreams, he stepped into the water, and beneath the radiant gold, Amara smiled, extending her hand. From it, a glowing shell rose silently, spinning between them like the river's heart. Emeka jolted awake, his hand grasping empty air. Outside, the river sang on. He knew their love had been written in a language only the river understood, and that promise once spoken would follow him all his life. In the silver mist, the shell drifted toward him, a first gift from the river, and a reminder that every pact with water has its price. 4 days after the moonlit meeting, the village of OG awoke in unusual bustle. Drums sounded from dawn, echoing off the hills, resounding down to the river like a call from ancient spirits. The village buzzed, some wove cloth, others carried palm wine, still others decorated bamboo gates with red ribbons and wildflowers. Word was, the fisherman Emeka had finally chosen a wife, and she was so beautiful that the very water fell silent as she passed. At midday, Emeka appeared. He wore black cloth edged in gold, dried fish skin wrapped around his wrist like a talisman. The river wind tousled his hair lightly, his sun-burnished face etched with equal parts joy and worry. And Amara, she walked through the crowd like a beam of light through shadow. Her skin glowed honey gold, her silver hair cascaded long, and when sunlight fell, the thin golden scales on her skin flickered, leaving all breathless. The flute began to play, light as the wind's breath. Women giggled, children ran after, trying to touch the white silk she draped. Palm wine was poured, flowers scattered, and blessing songs sung. The sweet wine scent wove through the air, mingling with tree resin, water, and joy. Emeka held Amara's hand through the throng, and in that moment, he felt he was leading her from the world of water to the world of man. The villagers had never seen such a bride. Some said her skin was soft as wax. Others swore the light around her came not from the sun but from her very body. Eyes of envy, curiosity, and fear followed her steps. But Emeka saw only her smile, that smile that dimmed all gazes. In the wedding rite, Chief Okori appeared. He was the village's eldest, his hair white as dried cotton, his eyes cloudy yet strangely bright. Around his neck hung a necklace of crocodile teeth, worn only by those who had communed with river spirits. He stepped slowly to the center square, where Ameka and Amara knelt before the altar. The drums slowed, yielding to his deep, raspy voice. The Oji River is mother to us all. She gives us fish, water, and life. But the river is jealous too, and she never forgets what belongs to her. Silence fell, even the winds stilled. There are legends older than the stones beneath our feet, he continued, that when a daughter of the water weds a mortal, another soul in the village must pay with its own, to keep the river appeased. Those words spread through the square like a chill wind. Some shivered, mothers drew children close. Ameka bowed his head, hiding his unease. He heard the heavy breaths around him, but he didn't believe. It was just old tales, elders' warnings to curious young ones. He trusted his love was real and pure as spring water at the source. Okori gazed at him long. In those aged eyes lay pity and regret, as if he already knew the story's end. But he said no more. He placed his dry hand on Ameka's shoulder and whispered, "Remember, water hears all. Every promise by the riverbank becomes an eternal bond." Then he walked away, leaving behind the scent of burned herbs and a heavy unease in Ameka's heart. The wedding went on. Drums resounded, songs rose, palm wine flowed. As the sun set, the sky turned copper red, and cooking smoke mingled with incense, drawing circles upward. Ameka and Amara danced amid the crowd, their steps syncing with the drums. Each time she spun, golden scales flashed beneath thin cloth, dazzling all. And Ameka, amid wine and light, felt himself adrift on her very song. As night fell, they left the square together, heading to the small hut by the river. The full moon hovered, casting their shadows long on wet sand. River wind rose, cool and refreshing, carrying mud, algae, and faintly a strange floral scent Amara's alone. She walked beside him, silent. Under moonlight, her eyes were no longer clear but deeper, holding a sky of secrets. The wedding night passed in the river's breath. Outside, the Oji sparkled, gentle waves lapping the bank like a lullaby. Ameka lay listening to her breath mingle with the waves, feeling embraced by something vaster than love, sweet yet fearsome. In fitful dreams, he saw the river open its heart, welcoming them both, gold drifting, shattering like mirror fragments. The next morning, as the sun rose, Amara stepped into the yard, leaving wet footprints on the earth. Each mark vanished after seconds, as if absorbed by water. Ameka watched, a shiver of awe and fascination in his heart. She turned back, her eyes sun-kissed, tilting her head with a smile. He approached, taking her hand. The river behind them flowed on, silent and deep, waiting. That night, as the village slept under the quiet moon, Amecha awoke to water gently tapping the hut wall. He stepped outside. The bank was misty, only faint golden light like fire's breath. At the water's edge, Amara stood alone, her hair draped down, golden scales faintly gleaming beneath cloth. She tilted her head, listening to the river like a loved one's voice. Amecha wanted to call, but his throat tightened. Something in the scene told him, the river never sleeps, nor does it truly give without taking back a part. In that moment, he didn't know that with today's wedding, the water's curse had awakened. The Oji River had witnessed, had heard, and now waited. From the wedding day onward, Ameka's small hut by the Oji River seemed transformed. No longer the lonely shelter of a solitary fisherman, it now brimmed with warmth, song, and the scent of water. Each morning, while dew still clung to the palm roof, Amara rose, stepping lightly to the porch. Her footsteps left thin, wet trails on the ground, and strangely, those trails reflected soft light, as if the sun rose from her prints themselves. Amara's song rose with each dawn, clear yet profoundly deep. It was no human tune, but like the river's sigh, lingering, swirling, touching the roof before dissolving into mist. Oji's children, hearing it, gathered at the river's edge, hiding behind banana bushes, holding breath to listen. They didn't understand the words, but when the melody ended, each felt their heart cleansed. The village elders said such a sound could wash away water's sins from the listener's depths. Amecha loved that voice too. He heard it in sleep, and in his paddle's stroke. Since the wedding, the river seemed unusually bountiful. Each cast of the net brought fish swarming in gratitude, bowing to the river's favored one. Emeka's market days drew more crowds, baskets so heavy 2 men were needed to carry. Villagers said he was blessed. Emeka only smiled, silent, for even he didn't know if the blessing came from love or the river's fleeting gift. The rainy season came early. The sky turned silver gray, the air thick with damp earth. In those days, Amara rarely left the hut. She sat by the window, combing her silver hair with a shell comb, sunlight falling to her temples in golden threads. Emecha often caught her staring at the river, eyes distant. When he neared, she'd softly close them, her smile faint as dissolving mist. He didn't ask. Something in her posture made him feel that if he spoke, all would shatter like glass into the water's depths. But day by day, strange signs grew clearer. Their home never lacked water, though the village well ran dry. Each morning, the clay jar in the yard brimmed with crystal-clear liquid, cool as if freshly drawn from the river's heart. Emesha once teased the children if they'd helped, but they shook heads. He knew no villager dared enter his yard after dusk. They spoke of Amara with reverent suspicion that the fisherman's bride carried the scent of deep water and eyes that saw drowned spirits. By day, Amara was gentle and quiet, but at night, the hut stirred with something beyond knowing. When the moon rose, her song changed deeper, sadder, seeming to rise from beneath the wooden floor. Emecha woke often, eyes scanning, seeing faint phosphorescent glow seeping through door cracks. He'd rise, but each time his foot touched ground, a breeze would stir, her skin's scent softening him back to bed. In dreams, water flowed under the floor, carrying unspoken questions away. Then one afternoon, Emecha returned late. The sky had turned copper, birds heading to nests. He entered the hut empty, the fire cold, no footprints on the damp earth. He called Amara's name, his voice echoing in the vacant space, fading into void. Stepping to the porch, he gazed at the river. The surface rippled golden under sunset. A vague premonition seeped into his chest. She was out there, in the water's heart. He sat waiting until full night fell, insects blending with the river into vast symphony. When the moon climbed high, Amara returned. Her clothes soaked, hair dripping, deep water scent clinging. Moonlight glanced off hidden golden scales, making her shimmer like a being from another realm. Emeka only watched, silent. She passed him, smiling as if nothing happened, then sat by the cold ashes, stirring embers to life. The firelight in her eyes tightened his heart. He wanted to ask, to know where she'd gone, but his throat hardened like stone. Only silence lay between them, thick as fog on the bank. From that night, her habit became clear. Each full moon, she vanished for hours. Emecha learned to wait, to be silent. He sat by the door, listening to wind through wood slats, the river's whispers. Sometimes he saw her shadow glide past the porch, fragile as smoke, melting into night. Sometimes he thought he heard her song far off, in the wind, the waves, the dripping water. Gradually, he realized love was like this river. The tighter you gripped, the more it slipped away. Village whispers began. They said on some nights golden light moved mid-river, or a woman's shadow sat singing on the rock, hair touching water. A child swore fish laughed in Emeka's water jar. Each rumor was a small ripple, quietly stirring his peaceful life. But Emecha stayed silent, faithful to his promise. His love needed no explanation, only quiet existence like water in stone veins. And so, each day passed like a new wave, calm outside, churning within. Across the bank, Chief Okori often sat watching the river hut, his face lined with worry. He knew the river gave nothing for free, and Emeka lived between two beats, the hearts and the waters. That night, as he lay listening to rain on the thatch, he didn't know those drops were the river's footsteps drawing nearer. In the dark, Amara opened her eyes, golden pupils faintly glowing. Outside, the OG rose silently, as if taking a deep breath before speaking what it had held long in its heart. One night, when wind howled and moon shattered on the river, Amecha would awaken and uncover the true secret of his golden-scaled wife. And now, dear audience, pause a moment to hit subscribe before the main story continues, but only if you truly connect with what I'm sharing here, and leave a comment below telling me where you're watching from and what time it is now. The wind shifted from early morning. The sky over the OG turned dull gray like ash-covered. Clouds from the sea rolled in, heavy and low, crawling close to the surface. OG villagers, accustomed to rains, still sensed something off in today's breeze, the chill of damp metal and rotting algae, as if the water's depth stirred. By noon, when Amecha returned from market, the air hung thick, all sounds muffled, only the paddle's light tap on the hull. The river no longer mirrored the sky, but lay dark and still, like a cloth-draped mirror. On the bank, grass bent low, banana leaves twisted in gusts. Amecha knew a storm brewed, but never dreamed it would bring more than rain and thunder. Afternoon brought the first gusts. Wind roared like beasts, lashing windows, snagging dry leaves. Amecha stowed nets, shored the roof, added fuel to the fire. In the dim glow, Amara sat on the porch, eyes on the river. Gold in her pupils faded, then deepened like water's abyss. Her long silver hair touched her back, soaked with dew though under cover. Outside, the first thunder cracked, distant yet resounding like war drums. The river swelled in swells, lapping the porch edge. Wind tore, rain slanted, drops like needles piercing thatch. Amecha rushed to shut her doors, but wind too fierce, splintering the wooden bar. In that flash he turned, Amara was gone. He called her name, but wind devoured his words. Lightning slashed the sky, illuminating the riverbank. In the white blur, he saw Amara alone in the rain, on sodden ground. She faced the heavens, silver hair wild, cloth clinging to her body, and from it emanated faint golden light, flickering like a lamp in gale. Amecha stepped out. Rain stung his skin raw. He waded mud, shouting hoarse. But Amara didn't turn. She stood at water's edge, arms raised high. Then he heard a sound pierced, blade thin yet echoing like 1,000 bronze drums. Not speech, a song. That melody made the world quiver. Swelling waves froze mid-air, then crashed as rain. Thunder choked in the clouds, flashing silent. Wind weakened, then halted. The storm, roaring hungry, fell abruptly silent, leaving eerie stillness, thick as deep water. Amecha halted, heart hammering. He couldn't trust his eyes. Rain fell upward to sky. Drops vaporized to glowing mist, circling Amara. Golden light spread from her, layer upon layer, setting the river ablaze like a solar mirror. Her fishtail's golden scales showed through skirt, undulating rhythmic like fire underwater. She sang, and the river listened. Small waves crept up, kissing her feet like children to mother. The black sky tore open, revealing light amid clouds, the slender moon trembling forth, beaming straight to the surface. Water mirrored an unseen radiant gold. Amecha knelt. Before him, his beloved wife was no longer land-bound woman. She was water's spirit, river's song, the enchantment elders once whispered by fireside. The song ceased. Amara turned, approaching him. Light around her dimmed, leaving sparkling golden streaks on skin. Rain stopped. Air carried wet earth, palm blossoms, and deep salt. Amecha's knees trembled, half wanting to embrace her, half to flee. But her eyes held him. They were kind as springs, yet depths shadowed unresting waves. She drew near, her cold hand to his cheek. The chill seeped skin deep, to heart. In that breath he heard water rushing in his ears, the river speaking. He understood without words. The storm wasn't heaven's, but rivers, and she had calmed it. Wind eased. River flattened, only drip from thatch. Slender moon pierced clouds, faint and thin. She stood by him, silent. Golden eyes faded to weariness. Amecha touched her hair, wet, cold, heavy with river scent. He dared not ask. What he'd witnessed transcended mortal tongue. They returned to the hut. Inside, fire dead. Amecha watched embers glow to ash, Amara by window, eyes to water. Outside, river tamed again, but faint sounds lingered like children's laughter in night. As he dozed, in dream, Amasia sank into water. Beneath, countless golden lights floated, like thousands of scales shed from Amara. Each bore a memory, song, laughter, wind's breath, skin's scent. They swirled around him, drawing him center, then dissolved. He woke, heart racing. Amara sat still, silver hair on shoulders, eyes distant. Outside, river glowed faint gold, mirroring her breath. Emeka knew from this night, he no longer loved a woman but a piece of the river itself, and though that love shone like golden scales in dark, he sensed the river gave nothing without reclaiming. That noon, after the unnatural storm, Oji's air stilled unbelievably. Sky clear, pale blue like milk-thinned water. Wet leaves dangled, dew glistened. Children played bankside, laughter stretching, but in breeze, river still breathed, slow, heavy, deep, as if its anger lingered unspent. Amecha rode home earlier than usual. Morning's catch brimmed, but joy wouldn't settle. Since storm night, Amara amid rain, singing thunder to bow, etched his mind like stone carving. He dared not ask, dared not pierce her silence. But curiosity grew in him, like roots burrowing soil, silent, insidious, relentless, unstoppable. Entering the hut, water dripped somewhere, steady, strange. Porch sun blocked by smoky mist. He called her name, hearing only his echo. Odd scent filled air, pungent yet pure. Wet earth and salt mingled. He moved to bedroom door, where light leaked golden warm as fire yet cold as river. Door creaked open, and sight froze him. Mid-floor, Amara lay curled, body arched as in deep dream. Faint gold lights spilled from clay jar beside, reflecting on skin, hair, every curve. But what halted his heart wasn't light but the tail. From waist down, familiar legs gone. Instead, long fishtail sheathed in radiant golden scales, each quivering, catching light like dragonfly wings. Gold splashed ceiling, dancing like flame on water. Amecha couldn't breathe. Before him, no longer wife he knew, but being of two worlds, half human, half water, beautiful to heartbreak. She unaware of him. In dream, lips murmured soft sounds, like water in shell. Silver hair spilled on earth, strands tinged pale green of algae. Clay jar glowed gentle, light pulsing breath-like. From it, thin mist rose, wafting deep water, cold stone, ancient moss. Ameka stepped back, eyes locked, scene too sacred, too fragile. Fear or awe, heart drummed warlike. Suddenly she stirred, tail curved, gold rippling room wide. Amara opened eyes. That instant, gazes met. Sounds vanished. World froze. Her golden eyes held fear, his dark ones choked emotion. Wordless, all said. She rose, slow, thin cloth slipping, revealing fading gold on skin. She reached for white cloth nearby. As it touched body, tail dissolved, scales detaching, sparkling, floating dust-like, then air gone. Legs re-emerged, trembling, slender. Amara huddled, arms cradling clay jar like mother-ill child. Jar's light weakened, stilled. Room drowned in thick silence. Ameka stood, shadow stretching floor-long, bisecting gold. Light breezed through thatch, carrying faint water on bank. Amara bowed head. Voice rose, smoke fragile, breath near. I am not like the women of your village. She stilled, eyes to jar. Within, faint gold flashed last, mirroring tiny wave like heartbeat. Amecha understood, unasked. Jar her life. River's soul, Amara's breath, final barrier to water. If broken, she dissolved. Tears welled her eyes, slow, crystal sparkling. Each drop hit ground, blooming tiny light, then gone. Ameka neared, knelt, hand gentle on shoulder. Skin cold, soft, damp as midnight river. He sought words, found none. Love and fear entwined chest tight, inseparable. Outside, wind rose, palm leaves rustling. Oji swelled slight, ripples tapping wall like reminder. Instant, Amecha felt hut drifting, buoyant mid-river, between world's land and water. Amara looked up, at him. Gaze hid no more, only weariness of long secret bearer. Hand to his chest, where heart thundered, as if saying, "This what I feared most, the moment you see who I truly am." Amecha closed eyes. No flight, no words. Sat with her, in jars pale gold. Wind howled porch, river sang floor beneath, hut blurred and damp. Too silent, souls stretched taut between sky and water. Till jar's last light died, Amara tilted head, leaned shoulder, breath cool. Amecha shut eyes, hearing floor river murmur like another heart sinking his. That moment, he knew their love crossed threshold, no longer human, but packed between land belonger and water belonger. Outside, sun sank. Sunset bled river surface slow. OG calmed, but depths. Something awakened. From that night, OG changed. Water thickened, copper dark, and each moonrise, reflection no longer clear but gold-tinged sorrowful. Village heard odd night sounds, mumbling water-like talk. Fleeting song vanished. Villagers whispered river woke old spirits, caused the fisherman water bride love. Ameka heard market rumors, silent, eyes darkened. Since seeing Amara's true form, quieter, dream walker unwilling wake. Still net cast, child smiled, but homeward steps slowed. Hut's gold light lingered, jar emanating, faint as departing breath. One night, upstream wind rose, fishy water and wildflower scent flooding hut. Ameka sleepless, sat porch, hearing river like blood in earth veins. Sudden, distant drum village ritual kind, beaten only for elder warnings. Torchlight spilled bank, folk summoned to square. Ameka donned cloak, went, heart ill-omened. Village center, Okori stood torch-lit. Wind billowed bark cloth, white hair lawgrass wild. Face creased generations' burden. All gathered, voice rose, gravel deep as streamstone. The river has spoken, it rages. Waters rise pre-flood, swallows boats, breaches fields. Took 2 children last night. Old curse from ancestors. If mortal weds river daughter, another village soul pays balance. We forgot. Now river reclaims. Murmurs rose, eyes to Amecha. Chill snaked his spine. Okori met gaze, stern yet pitying. I warned you, Ameka. Now choose. Return your wife to water, or let river swallow whole village. Words knifed heart. Ameka bowed, ground seeming slip. Whispers blended wind waves of fear, anger. Silent, he turned from square, heart single sound waves bank slapping, steady cold as fate's pulse. Home, Amara porch sat, moonlight silvering hair to small cloud. Jar light flickered lamp near death. No question his absence, only looked, silent. Golden eyes mirrored sky river. Water wind one. Sat beside. Long wordless. Wind bore forest flower salt scent, river echo distant song. At last, Amara whispered breath soft. River can't forget its child. I've stayed too long. If I remain, it takes other to balance. Each swell, reminder. Amecha eyes closed. Understood. All Okori said, she knew prior. Chose silence for extra moments in arms, earth-warm feel. Opened eyes to her eggshell bright skin, deep water breath. Fragile as fading light, he landbound couldn't hold. Amara rose, to door where river glinted. Wind lifted cloth, revealing faint underskin gold scales, slender moon sparkling. Amecha followed, hand grasped. Hers cold, soft as algae stem, pressed cheek, wordless. Heart voice looped. Lose her, river calms, but my heart dries. Stood long, water listening. High, full moon sagged, dew-wet wildflowers clear. OG taut silent, breath held waiting. Amara eyes shut, face river tilted. Light moment Amecha saw her blur, not vanishing but river mirroring form. Panic, tightened grip. Cold from hand, arm spread, blood soaked. Gold from scales seeped, skin stinging hot. Eyes opened, looked, golden lake night. Gaze held love, regret, fate surrender. Ameka pulled close, embraced tight. Tears fell, mist mingling shoulder. River low growled response. Moon dipped lower, reflecting entwined shadows, one gold bright, one black dark. Wind stilled, space breath held. That instant Emeka knew, choice come, keep her, river punishes village, let go, heart dies with dawn. Amara head-shouldered, faint, moon-wet smile. Breath neck cool, deep water moss, young mud scented. Hair drop, chest fell, fire hot. Understood, wordless goodbye. River sudden swelled, waves bank overflow, gold sparkling circling feet. Distant village drums slow earth heart. Stood embraced, land water between, love curse between. As last cloud moon eclipsed, river decided for them, and love paid deeper than life price. And before story continues, dear audience mine, if watching and find tale intriguing, comment number 1, or I'm still here to keep listening, okay. Last full moon night of season, sky held fragile silver thread taut. Wind hushed, but OG swelled rhythmic, sand edge kissing like giant inhaling. Village slept, only distant frog calls and fireflies flickering flooded fields. But for Amecha, no sleep that night. Porch sat, clay bowl embers flickering, reflecting hollow eyes. Inside, Amara still before clay jar, light within candle faint, near extinct, each quiver touch, hand to jar like soothing sick child. Fingertip, thin gold scales gleamed, then air dissolved. Each lost, lighter, vapor fragile. Outside, water sounds rose river calling child. Currents mud beneath roared, root trapped groaned, stirred like 100 invisible hands. Amecha heart heard, each beat distant drum. River awake, coming reclaim own. Amara rose, white cloth shoulder slipped, revealing faint gold shimmering skin. Silver hair water cascaded, back draping, last light fragments peeking. Turned, Ameka looked. Wordless understanding, long silent, between, wind passed, deep water ash parting scented. Ameka neared, hands trembling. Wanted hold, say love soothes river rage. But Amara eyes halted pain, pride, piece of non-belonger. Bowed, fetched glowing shell bed under dream gift once left. Lip kissed, hand placed. Shell light spread, Ameka face gentle gold bathed. Tears hot fell, shell dropped quivering light. Amara cold hand cheek placed. Water scent breath, whispered wave distant soft. When river sings, listen, but don't call my name. If you call, river jealous. Then outward stepped. Moonlight silver ground spread, shadow water edge stretched. Each footfall earth soaked. River swelled welcome, silk ribbon circling feet. Ameka followed, porch step distant, watching. Sky sudden darkened. Wind shrieked, water thick air flooded. OG wave exploded. White foam swells, bank surged, Amara thousand gold silk wrapped. Hair wild flung, body water leaned. Instant, face up, sang. Song unlike any Emeka heard. Began earth deep growl trill, rose high fragile crystal clear. Sound space quivered, river flat mirror shattered thousand bright shards. Black sky gold veil blazed. Moon dissolved, wave merged, herward flowed. Water knee-high, then waist. Skin gold water spread, OG honey stream died. That hue, all stilled plants, sand, air, breath paused. Amecha knelt, shell clutched tight. Heart ritual drummed, fear pain dream hope mixed. But song unceased. Swelled, wave followed, then prayer farewell soared. Amecha saw water foot beneath opened, abyss bright. Giant swell embraced, mother way lost child reclaimed. Head turned last look, golden eyes self-mirrored, tiny trembling earth sky between. Smile water gentle, whispered unheard. Lips moved, forgive me. Then wave crashed. Water erupted radiant, gold fire swallowed her. Amecha screamed, lunged, water repelled. Second swell light song carried, left wind howl salt reek. River flat calm, surface sparkle untouched. Amecha bank collapsed, soaked, shell gripped, inner light breath faint last, ear pressed. Tiny song trembled, water drop fall, Amara's final note. Full moon cloud emerged, light face lit, tears river mingled, footwater risen, faint gold downstream drifted, fading to firefly speck night. Ameka sat till dawn river glowed. First bird passed, water shadow dropped, knew she gone. River reclaimed child. But handshell glowed witness to man-water love, world's unreachable touch. After that night, dawn forgotten. Days on, OG jade gray veiled, still enough self-mirror sands sky. Villagers said next morn, Amecha bank sat soaked, eyes void mid-river stared. Beside golden shell faint glowed, light flutter dying heart. From then, Amecha wordless. No market, no net, no boat. Day's porch sat, water gazed. Night's rock sat, first song heard. Passers heard whispers, prayer, or dreamers off-key unknown. Some feared, spirit talk said. Children sneaked near, fled gold scale eye reflect. Time seasons flooded, days uncounted. Amecha black hair silvered, sun-skin riverbank soiled. Mornings, paddle sand stuck, torn net propped, sat moon till. Seemed unfed, unslept, only river drank, water breathed lived. Sometimes smiled, shellier pressed, asked, whispered. She still sings. None else heard. Full moon nights, village early shuddered. Said river gold glow, Amara spirit returned. Heard strange song midstream, not living, but waters. Song rise, man shadow rock sat, head bowed unmoving. Moon shoulder fell, hair silver, shell chest clutched. Children named Rockman. Elders said, no longer Amecha, but spirit guarding man river packed. Nights he wait song, river sung, head nod promise kept. Then silent till dawn. Some wash days, sand prints seen wet bright water fresh. Looked, none, only rock warm, shell, wind quiver. Years passed, Amecha knower's age died. New young elder tales heard. Flood seasons, swells village edge touched, prayed. OG river, anger not, your man's still there. Then greater rain season. Lightning sky slashed, OG high surged, beast awakened rolled. Villagers dike fled fear, arrived halted. Mid-downpour, Amecha rock Saturday water bank overflowed. Waves footlapped, unmoved. Handshell blazed, storm lamp gold strong. Song rang, not mid-river but around. Familiar tune, gentle sad, returning breath. Said lightning near struck, light river wide blazed. Faded, Amecha gone. Empty rock, center shell placed. Inner light water flowed, thousand tiny gold scattered. After, storm abrupt halted. Sun rose, OG clear calm, anger unhad. Fish returned, fields greened. Villagers said Amecha soul water merged. Man river bridged. Wind turns, heard Amara song. Man deep blended sounds intertwined, hazy warm. From then, small stone bank erected, shell carved, yearly full moon flower floated midstream. Flowers went, water gold flashed moment, silent dissolved. River no longer feared. Renamed Singing Couples River. Spring skies, children bank played, stone hunted. One whispered, ear close, hear them singing below. Adults past youth rock came, eyes shut prayed for love waves sturdier, promise water unfaded. Night. OG plains flowed silent. Surface moon gold mirrored, flat glass. Long stood, see two shadows, rock close sat one silver hair, one black. Wordless, gazed, faint song rose, water lull distant. River flowed season. But moon full gold pour, river sang unfulfilled love song, unfading promise, man to water turned. Folk said, OG night moon passed. Water ear lowered, whisper heard, I'm still here. Many years since storm night Amecha took, OG folk river stillness grew used, but hearts held wordless song scar. Generations rose, tale reheard fisherman river daughter loved, moon promise, honey gold song. Amecha face forgotten, but name spoke, voices softened, as yesterday lost. OG thence gentler. Fish teemed, water never dry. Women bank washed, soft sang river spirits thanks for calm keeping couple. Rain seasons, swelled but bank unbreached. Elders said Amecha depths guarded, Amara dreams wove to waves. 1 year, drought cracked fields. Villagers river gathered, rain begged. Night, no thunder, no wind, midnight river faint gold lit. water, silent rose, field hand poured. Dawn, fields clear filled, midstream thin mist rose, distant song carried. Village knew a Mecca unfa. Form changed, water pot remembering loving pot. Thence, sat rock renamed, water watcher's seat. Top empty clay jar placed, wave circles, mouth carved, old jar symbol Amara breath keeper. Pilgrims far villages came, flowers, shells, rock placed. Some parting sad brought, some forgiveness wished. Touched water, felt gentle cold return touch. Some wind voice heard, love but don't hold. Time wave beats counted, not seasons. River full, village tale retold. Teller voice sometimes Okori deep, sometimes child clear. Story shape same Amicha Amara, man water love, unkept promise, forgiveness eternal. Far afternoon. Stranger came. Silver-haired man, deep kind eyes. Long rock sat, silent water gazed. Rose left, water circles bright rose, then calm. Name unknown, but river children swore water talked wordless tongue. That night light rain fell. Dawn, rock jar cracked, clear water spilled, never dry. Villagers memory water named. Believed Amecha last returned. Amara path opened to water merge. Thence, dual song, one low, one high, full moon rang, source to mouth. Children asked adults, why river sings no singer seen? Adults smiled. Sometimes love formless needs, sound only. Thus tale closed in sound, not words, but stone water clash, leaf river fall, lost lovers sigh. Ameka Amara no more, but each OG wave, they lingered souls one merged, moonlit singing. That flood season's last night, village midstream faint gold saw. Old rock glowed, two close shadows reflected. White mist rose, slow dissolved, river flat mirror left. Wind stilled, faint voice water heart echoed. Sleep, river dear, I'm still here. Thence, OG angerless. Rain fair, wind mild, a mecha tale rock man generation lesson. True love not holds but releases, not possesses but immortalizes. Night passed, river flowed, but song that Ameka Amara song lingered near, breeze woven, wave pulse hidden. Folks said, love not vanished, water part, earth part, each palm dew OG hut. Tale not mere golden mermaid legend, but heart mirror. For in love tight hold loses more, souls free only when hands dared release. Amecha learned late, but sacrifice unraged river, village peace returned. Perhaps each heart deep a river holds memory, pain, departed ones. Learn inner water listen, hear song rise, gentle, forgiving, eternal. If tale touched you, if own Amara or OG river life held, comment below, tell listening from where and hour now. And don't forget hit subscribe channel, share tale to kin friends across America. Let them river song hear and remember. Sincere promise water swept heart echoes eternal.